Okay, so I've got this second channel up here, and I don't always do very much with it. In fact, I'd like to do more. And one of the things I'm thinking about doing this year, changing things up, is to have more post-sculpt conversation or discussion. And I was trying to squeeze it, as much of it as I could, into the end of the sculpt videos. But I think that did have consequences, because the video is very, very long. And if you want to have a better reach and get people to really watch what you've got, because there's a kind of standard, I only have 2 to 6 minutes to spend on a video, and if you see it getting up closer to 10 minutes, it actually functions as a deterrent. So I'm going to try to cut the end of the videos down, and that allows me to have a little bit more of an in conversation sort of length here if I do the video separate. And that also gives more of this sort of interaction to you guys that are actually really interested in that part of the video. So I will start linking those up in the ends, or at least try to. May not do it every time, but in this case, I kind of had an end bit there that revealed that there's two of them, obviously, and he's sitting here, and I was looking at the post roll there, the end card with the sponsor, and I just didn't have enough time to get to it. So thought you guys would want to know that's my very first cast. Up till now, I had not done any molding or casting, and I did see the wisdom in it, because I was getting a lot of requests. People want to buy these, or they're interested in having their own copy, and of course if there's only one, that limits what you can do in terms of satisfying people that want to kind of collect or have access to what you're making at a reasonable price, upon request, I suppose. But yes, I did the silicone, and it was messy. It was really messy. It got everywhere. There's still bits of it stuck to the board. It's really neat material, and it's the first time I ever used it. And I'm not really experienced with mold making generally, but I did have. It was a bit fun at first, and it just got really tedious. But I found out that I think it's called a thixotropic, and that's where you add a thickener to it to give it more of a paste-like consistency, and I didn't have that, and now I know that I can use it next time. But it just kind of pours over. I'll put some clips up here and you can see what I was doing. But yeah, you have to create a reasonably thick layer, and then after that, several layers of liquid, then you can put the putty in. It gives it more reinforcement and get around some of these parts. Now, the reason why people use this stuff is because it's a flexible mold. It's tear resistant and so on. And it really does capture a lot of detail. Now, if you see, I've spent a lot of time on the skin for this character. If you look at, here, I'll put up a picture, but I got a close-up of, I actually did all the pores one by one. And there was a bit I did after that I didn't capture in the time lapse, because once he dried out and hardened up, which is what I use primarily, and I think many of you know this too, but I use an air dry clay, which is kind of unusual for the kind of work that I'm doing. But when it dried out, I was really able to kind of hammer away at it with a ball bearing tool that I've got here. There's a really big ball bearing tool, but there's a tiny one, that's actually a screwdriver thing, whatever. But yeah, I was able to, here it is, right here. So I was able to take this, and it's got this really fine ball, and you just kind of tap, 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 like Woody Woodpecker for an hour or something, and it creates all those impressions. So when you see me doing it on film, I was using the silicone tipped tool, because the clay was still semi-soft at that point. But I wanted to add some more after, and it's interesting. There's a lot of things you can do with this that you can't with oil and wax-based stuff, but there's also there's a lot more I think you can do with oil and wax clay that you can't do with water-based stuff. So it's give and take, hit or miss, as they say. But yeah, the hairing, doing hair, you guys, it's not fun. That's one of the things. Like when I got this guy cast, he's resin, by the way. I'm exploring different casting materials, but he's resin. He's a polyurethane. But I'm going to look into jesmonite and polystone stuff as well. But yeah, after I did that, and I had intended, or what I wanted to do was make him, and then finish him as well, and I'd have two identical ones next to each other. But doing the hair was so tedious and annoying because it just comes off. You know, you've got to trim each bit before you apply it, and if it starts to move in your hands, the lengths will, you know, it'll do this, like that, and then so you're trying to glue it on, and these bits are up too high and these bits are too low, so then you have to go back down and trim it. And you should line it up right, and then you got to press it in, but you got to use a tool. So I used, oh, here it is. Here, I just took a piece of wire. It's aluminum wire because super glue doesn't stick to the metal. Eventually it'll start to stick to itself and collect there, but you have to use something that's not going to stick to the tool. And then of course if you're using your fingers, you guys know what that's like. It's super glue on your fingers, at least many people do. But yeah, it was a pain, and then the hair falls out and it gets all over the place. And every time you trim it, it was everywhere. There's hair everywhere. I don't even have a shop vac. I've been just kind of trying to collect it with my hands. And I thought, do I really want to do that again? It's like, no, I don't. Not right now, at least. And I'm not even sure anybody would want this. I mean, if I get some requests, then maybe. But I'd be more likely to, if people wanted their own, I'd say, okay, well, I'll give you the mold. I'll give you a cast, and you guys can paint it yourselves and do the herring. Because I've got a lot of other projects to get onto. But it is cool to see that I've actually got, for the first time, a copy that came out reasonably well. So, I mean, he still needs to be cleaned up. There's a seam in the back like that, but I'd have to go over this with a drill tool or something and just kind of carve it off. And there's little imperfections, but I have epoxies like Milliput, which would fill all that, and that would be great. I think he'll stick around for a while at least. I got a friend that I've been talking to that does a lot of resin work, and he might be interested in it. I'll ask him. But yeah, it's pretty cool. There he is. So, oh, he's pink because I mixed a special resin dye in. It was a red resin dye, but he ended up being pink. Some of this is still red. But it's always easier if you're going to paint your piece, if the base layer is already a color that you're going to work with. It helps, so you have less painting to do. So, oh, and another cool thing, he's hollow. That helps reduce weight. So you can really toss it around. Whereas this guy, that's one of the biggest issues with using the air dry clay, is it's just so heavy when it's done, and it tends to be a lot more brittle. So this, very stiff, solid. I mean, I could hit this with a hammer, and it would be hard to damage it. I mean, well, maybe a hammer's a little bit too much, but I'm going to really whack it, and it's not going to break. Now, if I did that to him, it'd probably bust his nose off. So that's one of the advantages of moving in this direction as well. So then when I was doing the exhibition, and we were moving all the sculptures around, I was terrified that, you know, you drop it and that's it, it's over, you know. And I just started realizing I can't have that. Like all that work you put in to the sculpt, and then have it just gone in one drop, one mistake. So I'm going to try to start doing more molds, just to have the ability to make more for my needs or anybody else's. Also, I didn't get to this, but the cigar, again, I use my magnetic trick. We got a magnetic cigar, and I actually packed the tip with real tobacco, so that was fun. Eyes are glass. He's wearing one of my tank tops that I had in the closet, and this is a pleather, fake leather jacket that Seraphim Hex gave to me. Which I had one of the Twitch followers appear for the exhibition, and I was in the middle of working on him, and she said, "Damn, you got to get him a jacket," and she had an extra one, and I guess she wasn't particularly fond of it, so she says she donated it to the Hellboy cause. And the design, I didn't really get to that either, but the design, I looked at a whole bunch of them. There's the new one with David Harbour coming out, and I'm a huge fan of Ron Perlman's work, and so I was really pleased when he was doing Hellboy, and I was sad that, you know, he's not going to be doing it again, but I guess he's getting pretty up there, and they kind of want to do an official reboot, so they got David Harbour from Stranger Things to do it. And I was looking at the comics, and I was looking at all these different versions, and I was getting feedback from the Twitch people as well, and they're all like, "Hey, you know, try this, try that," and I went, you know what, I'm just going to go with my own rendition, because if you try to get exactly the same of a specific character, you're more likely to fail. And I thought, why not just do do mine. This is a LoreCraft Hellboy, and it turned out, I think, pretty damn good. I'm pretty happy with it. It was I had a problem with this eye because the iris detached from the glass, and after it had solidified, so there was really no way to fix it. But I think I got around some of those issues. Turned out all right. Turned out all right. And oh, you're wondering why I didn't put his hair in a ponytail? Because I did not want to risk pulling on the hair to tie it up and pull out a big chunk of hair. I thought, not going to do it. No thanks. It's possible that I could maybe grab it like that and tie it with a tie instead of trying to wrap it up with a rubber band. But I figured, better safe than sorry. And I've seen pictures like the David Harbour picture where he's wearing it for the new movie. His hair is hanging down like that, so it's fine. It's fine. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I think I'm gonna end here. I will try to make these a little bit more concise, and I will try to make a sculpt video for each sculpt I've done up to this point at some stage in development. But primarily I'm going to be focusing on the sculpts themselves. So these will be slower in coming, but if you guys like this, give a thumbs up, let me know, send me a message, send me a comment, and I'll make more of these to explain how these are done and kind of the drive behind them and any difficulties. So, all right, everybody, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you soon.